Hello, I'm Vivian Hubby, one of the GAs at the Georgia State University Counseling Center. In this presentation, we are going to discuss self-care, what it is, why you need it, and how to do it effectively. Before we get to that, let's start by acknowledging that college is stressful. There are so many demands on your time, and transitioning to attending college in a pandemic has made many things even more challenging. Though you might not be dealing with all of these issues, many students say that they are juggling multiple roles and responsibilities on top of being a student. There's forming new relationships, figuring out which are healthy and which are toxic, deciding who to keep in your life and let go of. There's new or growing financial responsibilities, and maybe you even have to work or focus on keeping a scholarship. If you are working, that means you are managing the relationships with your boss, coworkers, and more. With all of these demands, it can feel like there isn't time for rest, relaxation, rejuvenation, or fun. And when you don't feel like you have time for your own leisure activities, you can start to feel burnout. Please take a moment and think about whether you've ever felt burnout and what it was like for you. If you haven't felt burnout before, think about how you've seen it in others. Think about how your body feels, what your mind and your thoughts say, how little energy and motivation you have, and how you think about yourself and others. It's not a good place to be, mentally, emotionally, or in our relationships. And as it turns out, it's not so great for our bodies either. There are many ways that burnout can affect our bodies. It can lead to high blood pressure, heart attack, stroke, migraines, chronic pain, trouble sleeping, skin issues, obesity, ulcers, mental health issues, and lowered immune response. The good news is we can take some action steps to prevent burnout. A good place to start is with these questions. So either on paper or in your mind, take a moment to answer. What do you do to prevent burnout? How might you support yourself after a challenging day? Who are your greatest supports? The answers to these questions can give you some insight into how you approach self-care. Most of us have heard the expression, "you can't pour from an empty cup." This means that if you do not take care of yourself, you will not be able to give to or care for others. You can't give energy that you don't have. You won't feel good, and you won't be as effective with those demands as you want to be. By making space and time for what you need to do to take care of yourself, you can maintain the quality you want in those other areas of your life. Most of us have heard the term self-care before. Self-care is doing the things we need to do to maintain our happiness, our health, and the ongoing development of our minds in whatever way works for the individual. You can do this in a number of ways, including unplugging from technology, getting outside, or talking to the people you care about. But there are plenty of myths about self-care that you may have heard or even believe. The first is that self-care is an indulgence. Actually, meaningful self-care involves mindful changes in patterns of thoughts and behaviors that do not contribute to your well-being. It is not an indulgence, but a crucial aspect of a healthy person's routine. The next is that self-care is selfish. In reality, when you make time for yourself and get sufficient rest and exercise, you feel more energetic and will be able to do more for yourself and for others. Self-care can have a positive ripple effect into the world around you. Some people think of self-care as a one-time experience. Looking out for yourself is an ongoing practice in building resilience to face hardships and in preventing burnout. One massage or nap can't change some of the structural parts of your routine that can lead to burnout. Self-care is an ongoing practice. Lastly, many believe that self-care is time-consuming. It doesn't always have to take a huge chunk of time out of your day. Just like the first point, making small mindful choices and integrating self-care into your life will make it much more effective, and it can make you healthier. So what can you do to take care of yourself? As you read through some ideas of how to build self-care moments into your day, which ones have you tried and liked? Which ones have you thought about but not gotten to? Also important to know which ones aren't for you. You'll notice in this list some of the ideas center around taking care of your emotions or your body or your spirituality. And that's because there are so many aspects to what gives our life meaning. So we want to have the opportunity to address all of them. The beauty of thinking of these different aspects of self-care is that one is not more important than another, or has to come first before building onto the next one. And notice the word here, balance. Balancing yourself with your roles and demands, but also balancing the way you approach taking care of yourself. First, let's look at self-care in the occupational area of your life. Actions for taking care of yourself in this area might be taking breaks from class, work, or studying to eat lunch. On some days, it can feel daunting to carve out that time, but you will think and perform better if you have nutrients in your body and a few moments to yourself. Also consider when you say yes and no to new requests for your time. Being active and involved in the organizations you care about can be rewarding, but remember that you don't have to say yes to every opportunity presented to you. If you are overextended with clubs, activities, and organizations, it will be hard to follow through on all your commitments. Just like the cup, you can't pour from an empty cup. The next area to discuss is spiritual self-care. Connect to what brings peace. Perhaps for you it's church or prayer, or maybe it's volunteering your time, playing with children, meditating, being in nature, or engaging in activities like yoga or Tai Chi that connect mind and body. This area reminds us to focus on what is beautiful and wondrous in this life. The next dimension is social self-care. This involves prioritizing your connection with others and making time to nourish those relationships. Make time for those relationships that bring you joy. And if a relationship is dragging you down, it might be time to set some boundaries. Emotional and mental self-care is anything that engages you in personal growth and fulfillment. This can look like identifying and accepting your emotions rather than pushing them away. For example, cry if you feel like crying. It can also look like finding ways to shift your mood if you find yourself stuck in a rut by doing something like watching something funny. Engaging in positive self-talk is a great way to practice this. Emotional self-care can be hard because it counters messages like just suck it up or stop crying. So if you think you want assistance in this area, please know the Counseling Center is here to help. Physical self-care is taking care of your body and connecting with others through safe touch. Having physical contact with people just wasn't safe during the height of the pandemic, and as we transition to an endemic period, what does physical contact with the people in your life look like right now? Physical self-care is also having a safe space to live. If that's an issue for you, the Counseling Center and the university have resources to get you connected to safe housing. The Office of the Dean of Students has the Embark program to help with student needs such as housing. Taking care of your sleep, nutrition, and any medical issues, even just a yearly preventative checkup, is also an important part of physical self-care. The university offers Panther Pantry to access nutritious foods for free. The Student Health Center offers free visits, and the Rec Center on each campus allows you to take care of physical activity and exercise. The last area is financial. Taking care of your finances is an important part of overall wellness. You can do this by budgeting, saving money, and even seeking out financial advising if necessary. If you take care of your money, you will have more for the things you care about. Now that you have an understanding of the multiple ways, big and small, that you can engage in self-care, the next step is making a plan for how to do it. If it were easy, we'd all already be doing it. Having a plan can help you go from wanting to do more self-care to knowing how and when you can practice it. Here is one way to organize how you want to practice self-care. As you go through the different slices of self-care in the last slide, a good place to start is noticing where your most frequent or most helpful actions are. Try to think of at least 2 actions you can add to each area of self-care. I recommend at least 2 because we need different approaches at different times, depending on mood, situation, etc. So it's important to give yourself options. When you think about creating a plan, it's important to be realistic. What might get in the way? There are reasons you aren't doing more self-care. What are those? How can you overcome those obstacles? Additionally, most of us respond to stress in less helpful ways. For example, I tend to procrastinate when I'm stressed. The problem is that behavior just leads to more stress and less motivation. What are some of your less effective actions or responses to stress? Which ones can you plan to avoid? As you approach any major change, allow yourself to envision how you will feel, look, think, and act as you follow through on your goals. So let's take some time to create your own self-care plan, whether mentally or written or drawn. Now that you have some ideas, here's another way to organize your self-care plan. Some people work well with the structure of a schedule or a calendar, and setting up your plan in this way is a reminder that self-care is a daily practice. To end today, I want to emphasize that self-care can be both large and small acts, but it's best practiced on a daily basis. Being sure to take the time you need for yourself can help your body and mind be healthier. We talked about a lot of different self-care actions you can take, but here are my top recommendations. Rely on your support system as part of your plan and help you along the way. Practice mindfulness and meditation. You can always tune in to the Counseling Center's meditations on Mondays at 10 a.m. on Instagram Live at Be Well Panthers. Eat healthy foods, drink water, get enough sleep, and exercise to take care of your body. Lastly, humor is a great way to take care of yourself. Make sure you take time to laugh today. Finally, plan for self-care. Otherwise, it's very easy to let the commitment slide and to allow multiple roles and demands in your life to take over. At the Counseling Center, our commitment is to help you be well so that you can do well. Thanks for taking some time to learn more about self-care. Be sure to pay attention to the following slides to learn more about some of the resources that you have available to you as a Georgia State student.